Hello and welcome. Hi, I'm author and strategy coach for moms, Grace Wroldson. This is my gray walling method. If you're dealing with a narcissist or you're forced to co parent with a narcissist, you're going to need to learn the gray walling methods. This is the gray walling method when dealing with a narcissist as your co parent. 10 tips to keep you sane and surviving co parenting with one. So, hi, I'm author Grace Wroldson. If you're ready to learn, I am here to teach. You can check me out at my website. I've written several books, including Co Parenting with a Narcissist, 7 Self Rules to Stay Sane, and book number 2, How to Fight a Narcissist in Family Court and Win, Super Smart Strategies for Success. All of my books, all 4 of them for moms, are on Amazon. My previous work was loving and leaving an alcoholic, healing, breaking trauma bonds, recovering from codependency. And then I found out in family court that I was dealing with a narcissist. I didn't know until then. My suggestion is you read my books in order 1 through 4 to get a full understanding of my true survivor story. So, do you have a headache dealing with a narcissist? Are you suffering insult after insult while trying to co parent? Are you constantly being triggered into fear and panic? You are not alone. Continued abuse is typical behavior of a nasty narcissist after separating. Did you know that a narcissist typically wins by destabilizing the target? What do I mean by that? I mean emotionally destabilizing the target. A warm welcome to my work. If you're a mom forced to co parent with a narcissist, a very difficult narcissist, or you're stuck in a high conflict family court battle, I have some tips, tools, and survivor wisdom to share. If you're ready to learn, I am here to teach via my true story. And I do aim to be a light in the darkness of this dilemma. I aim to help moms focus on what matters and thus step into sustainable solutions. My main goal is peace and protection for children, and I help by supporting, guiding, and mentoring loving, caring moms like yourself and encouraging them to diligently seek support, find and maintain stability, stay sane, and be smart about situations and do solid documentation while putting multiple sanity saving strategies in place. I do have a full disclaimer. You are welcome to read this or pause. I just have a special request. I'm giving this blog and video out for free. And if you share my idea with others who need to learn these skills, please, give me credit as an author. I've blogged for moms for years. Send them to my website and my work. I want to help as many moms as possible to overcome the narcissist co-parenting dilemma and create peace and protection for their children while enjoying their children's only one and only childhood. So my transformation story is, there's a short synopsis. I was able to win my rights back to my only child after losing them in family court to a narcissist, a wealthy one, might I add. And before I learned to navigate the narcissist, I endured 10 years of post separation abuse by my narcissistic ex. He engaged in legal abuse for years due to his wealth and family's enabling, but with specific strategic support, I was able to endure the legal battle, win my rights back, hold him in contempt, and then get his cooperation and kindness as a co-parent. Amazing. A true miracle, I know, but it took years of research on my part to learn just what makes a narcissist tick. I hired several specialists to help me through the hell I endured. I kept my main focus not on fairness to me as a mom, but rather on my child's one and only childhood. Her happiness came over my justice many times, and I prioritized her health and safety along with my sanity, which was hard to hold on to sometimes through the insanity I endured. I won't get into all the abuse the narcissist put me through, but you can read them in my earlier blogs, a list of all the tricks and tactics and traps the narcissist set up to try to destroy me, which included gaslighting, minions, and flying monkeys, both in and out of family court. But guess what? No more. I'm free. Now, how did I get here? Well, it took work on my part in several steps. There were even phases to standing up to him and then getting his cooperation. I had to change, heal, learn, and grow and quit being his target of blame or In his mind, the enemy to destroy. You can read my co-parenting abuse list on blog, or my co-parenting abuse when dealing with a narcissist, or read it in my 4th book, How to Survive a Custody Battle with a Narcissist. You can check out my Steps to Win blog, also on my website. But more than just talk. My personally crafted and created gray walling method is more than a communication strategy. It's a full survival strategy for being able to move on and keeping the narcissist out of your life as much as realistically possible. We must protect our sanity. This is a distancing method I use to stay separate and away from the toxic, abusive narcissist. I formulated this method year after painful year of problems with my narcissistic ex. No, it's not a scientifically proven method, and I don't have case studies to highlight its effectiveness or success. I'm sorry. However, it worked for me and some of my coaching clients that are moms. I believe it's worth a shot to try on. The mindsets that I will present, or maybe try out these approaches with a supportive team like a good coach, a domestic violence counselor, and most importantly, a lawyer who is on board and says that this is a good idea in your case, because every case is so different. So the note is, not all protective moms can do this method if there are huge safety issues and obstacles that would make the efforts dangerous. Unfortunately, many of us, I think the majority of us, have learned we have to coexist with the narcissist, as we can't eliminate them and their abuse completely from our child's life, since family court generally awards parenting rights and such. As I have been told, narcissism is not a crime. So you are not alone if you've experienced family court failures. I myself have had to overcome many and stage a comeback, like I describe in my first book, the Orange Yellow book, about staging a comeback. So check out chapter 8 in that book and learn about the resurrection power we have, because like a phoenix, we can come up out of the ashes of failure. So take a dual approach. My dual methods of gray walling and skillful means cover both short-term and long-term strategies when dealing with a narcissist. My methods and programs don't say annihilate, beat, defeat, destroy, slay a narcissist. Rather, they say navigate the narcissist, which takes knowledge, skill, planning, preparation, and support. It takes serious emotional restraint and a dedication to healing from narcissistic abuse, an ongoing dedication to doing that. Yeah, sure, you might be able to outsmart the narcissist, but you are most likely going to trigger him and possibly tick him off too. What happens when the narcissist is angry? They usually begin harboring hatred of you, and they typically retaliate and seek revenge. No, they don't walk away, forgive, and go on to work on themselves and their plethora of issues. They blame. So, due to this, I don't recommend the witty, clever remarks meant to put the narcissist in his place, as I found out the hard way. Seemingly shutting the narcissist down with my intellect is not a path to peace, and it certainly doesn't make them want to help you out later when you need your child for an extra day or something special. Always keep the future in mind. And with skills and strategies, I believe you can change how awful the dynamic is, even if it's a little bit for the better. Read my blog, How to Communicate with a Narcissist Using My Skillful Means. So, the mistake of winning against a narcissist, the truth is, when you win, quote unquote, against a narcissist, you don't typically win a peaceful, pleasant future of co parenting when dealing with them. What you end up with is a bitter, resentful co parent who tends to take out his issues on the vulnerable children if he can't hurt you directly. You have to think long term and think consequences, something the narcissist himself doesn't do when he reacts and acts out. Narcissists are often blind to consequences. Knowing the narcissist's limits, you have to lead the charge to create what you want, which is peace. Us wise souls aim for peace in these terrible instances, because in peace, you and your children can thrive. And because the children are not 18, they're not grown adults with full rights to leave an abusive parent, we want to be smart about what we subject them to while they have to deal with their narcissistic dad. Have you ever stood up to a narcissist or said no to the narcissist and found out he was in a bad mood his whole parenting time? Did your kid come home and tell you that? And did your heart break? It did for me. It was not cool. So I encourage you to learn how to speak in a respectful way to a non-respectful person, which is totally difficult to do. As I found out, the narcissist started to mimic me and use my words against me. And this time, however, I got wise to this. The words I spoke were carefully chosen and very good to hear back. Become aware that this is happening and use it to your advantage. You can read my blog, 25 Key Phrases That Can Neutralize the Narcissist When Co-Parenting or in a High Conflict Custody Battle. Special side note, some of my thoughts and ideas may not apply if there are serious child safety and neglect issues. Those moms may need to fight to win sole custody using lawyers and CPS and request supervised or no visits to protect their children. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So take what you like, leave the rest. Please do not wait for the narcissist to become a great guy or to tell you you're a great mom. The narcissist can't establish peaceful, cooperative co-parenting conditions, so don't hold your breath waiting for him to get over a grudge and grow up. Peace when co-parenting requires sharing and consideration. With his many blind spots like fear and paranoia, he doesn't have much to offer in this platonic relationship. By their inherent nature, a narcissist wants to fight or get attention, even if it's negative attention, and leave charged up. Engaging in direct toe-to-toe battle outside your castle walls would most likely drain you, while the same fight fuels them. We have to be the change we want to see. This change begins with us. Our chance to change is now. Our change sends a ripple effect. We want to give out what we give out does actually come back. So think carefully and plan accordingly on what tone you want to set. Sure, there's lots of hate about the narcissist. There's lots to hate about the narcissist, but in my view, it's okay to hate evil. But we know it's not healthy to harbor resentment. We also know that we have to radically accept reality, even if it's not nice and very painful. We know that we suffer when we don't accept the truth of the situations. We suffer. Acceptance leads to personal peace. We can accept what is and hold out hope for the future as we grow in our knowledge base of narcissists, family court, and parenting or co-parenting. We can face our grief and not wait for the narcissist to apologize for all his terrible, inhumane behavior, past and present. Doing our grief work can help us move on so that our children can have at least one healthy, happy parent. What is gray walling? My gray walling method developed after years of trial and error dealing with a narcissist. I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought maybe I wasn't boring enough or bland enough. I had read several books on boundaries when I ended the relationship with my alcoholic narcissistic ex. The gray walling method might also be called someday castle and curtain method. So keep an eye out for that. Gray walling is creating a concrete structure, much like a castle. Then, to this encircling outer protective wall, add a heavy quilted gray curtain to the outside for those super balls, which I'll explain later. You want boundaries that are cemented and solid with this creature, no cracks in your walls. If you've got them, fill them in. You want boundaries all around what you do and say. You want guards at the gate. You want walls high enough that the narcissist can't look in on your life because you're not supplying details, data, intel, or info. You don't open the window or lift the curtains for this visitor. He doesn't get a pass. You want a certain thickness of skin so that his arrows of anger and rage can't penetrate your castle walls. You want to have a whole functioning world inside your walls that is full of healthy, supportive, cooperative people so you can raise your child with peace of mind and completely out of enemy territory. You create this castle, this fortress of personal boundaries for yourself and your child. You install the gates and control how much information will be allowed in and out. You are the queen of this realm, and you call the shots. Your cold gray walls of personal boundaries protect you. They even protect your children during your parenting time. This becomes a safe place for you to raise your child and teach him or her the ropes of survival. After all, you are a survivor. As a survivor of narcissistic abuse for 15 years and a survivor of family court custody battles for our only child, I can say it requires great skill and tools to overcome the narcissist traps, tricks, and tactics. I need to clarify that I'm not a therapist or a counselor. I don't offer domestic violence DV crisis help. And if you have that situation, please get professional support rather than following my footsteps. My methods aren't scientifically proven to be effective for narcissistic personality disorder, and what may have worked for me may not work for you. So I share my story, and please realize that you will need a team of support and legal advice to deal with a narcissistic co parent. Being mindful that taking one idea or suggestion and trying it out randomly on the narcissist isn't as effective as doing the self work and learning how to co parent, deal with the co parenting issues and legal problems. I suggest you read a lot of my blogs of dealing with the narcissist and the need for a lawyer, and check out my 11 video series, Navigate the Narcissist, co-parenting video course for more guidance and my story of success. Obtaining peaceful co-parenting conditions is very rare and took me over a decade to achieve. I often had to get therapy, coaching from experts, constant legal advice from family law lawyers to know what to do and when or what not to do. Because each custody case is often complex and complicated, I encourage you to get those advisors in place and not try to go it alone against this big bully. Keep in mind that depending on the type of crazy you're dealing with, narcissist or sociopath or both, these ideas may or may not work for you, or you might need to modify them or exclude some of them entirely. Remember that even though our cases are eerily similar, they are very different. You can check out my second book here about getting some strategies. As an author of several books and a coach for moms dealing with narcissists, I aim to be transparent and truthful about my survivor story. This is why I write and speak in a pen name. Using my work to raise awareness of the all too often family court failures, pitfalls, and to teach skills on how to deal with high conflict personality disordered people, I've helped moms who are forced to co-parent with a narcissistic ex get more peaceful conditions for themselves and their children. I teach both my gray walling method as well as my skillful means method. These are survival strategies that withstand the drama, trauma, conflict, and chaos a narcissist tends to create and thrive in, while we empathetic moms tend to lose energy and barely survive. Depending on the phase a person is in with a narcissist, I tell my coaching clients to imagine that a narcissist has a sign around his neck that says, "Don't feed the narcissist." Just like there's signs in the wild at parks, "Don't feed the bears!" Exclamation mark. If you feed a narcissist your feelings, emotions, reactions, pain, care, concern, they will keep coming back around. Take time to reflect, get some distance, and see your dysfunctional interactions that you have with the narcissist and lock up your garbage. Lock your feelings up in a waterproof, narc-proof bin and don't let them out of your garage. When you are ready, bring your boiling emotions to the safe dump like a confidential therapist, domestic violence counselor, or coach. Learn to recycle the energy of your emotions and turn and transform them into the jet fuel by developing self rules and setting up principles to live by. Establish a mindset to adopt or establish a new healthy perspective to take on your situation. I caution moms who want to pay the narcissist back or finally want to say all the words they held back when they got free, when they were finally free. They want to say things now, but don't do this to get a reaction from the abusive narcissist. Certainly, please don't seek validation from the invalidator. You can read my blog of 25 best tips for dealing with a narcissist, which is also free. You are writing your child's childhood chapter. In my first book, Co-Parenting with a Narcissist, I explained the rules that I started to create when the boundary crossing narcissist wasn't respecting my boundaries nor the court order. If you are creating this castle, then you will need to establish some personal law and order of what happens within your walls. I had to establish rules for myself, and I call these self rules. I decided that my mindset mattered, and I needed to keep my mind on what really mattered in my case, which was child safety and protection. What also mattered was my state of health and attitude. I had to choose what attitude to adopt to endure the dilemma. I found a key. Focusing on the love I had for my child over the hate I had for the narcissist made a tremendous difference. My energy levels didn't get depleted, and I was in alignment with my values. With this healthier, better focus, I was able to be resilient. Don't wear yourself out on small injustices. I As I tell my mom clients, you will always get unfairness dealing with an unfair personality disordered person. When I coach moms going through similar upsets with a narcissist and family court failures, I would tell them to be the curtain. What did I mean? Well, here's an example. If the narcissist is throwing an accusation out, even a false, bogus accusation, what I call a super ball, which is a rubbery, bouncy ball that tends to bounce fiercely off of hard surfaces and go in all uncontrollable directions, I would explain to not be that hard concrete wall. Instead, I would encourage them to be a double thick curtain. It's an amazing difference. If you ever throw a super ball off a cement wall, you will know that it bounces wildly and everywhere. Conversely, if you throw that same rubber ball at the curtain, it just drops without hard resistance. For the super ball to bounce off, it will go nowhere with the curtain. This way, when the narcissist throws us any ball, including curveballs, we can be the curtain as a strategy to not escalate drama or enhance the problems. Does the narcissist have a nasty comment to make about you as a mom? They tend to try to push all our value buttons. Do you react and tell him what an awful father he is? This triggers them and gives them the evidence to use against you in family court to paint you as a psycho crazy mom. Instead, let the negative comment drop to the floor silently, energetically in your mind. Say, return to sender. By giving silent resistance to being attacked, you don't defend. Defending, justifying, and over explaining makes us look guilty and robs us of our energy. I know. It takes real skill and self-discipline combined with tons of self-restraint to be able to do this. However, knowledge is power and so is perspective. If you are able to take a step back, label the tactic, vent to a safe person, then formulate a response or no reaction, you gain the upper hand as the narcissist is seeking his narcissistic supply in the form of your fear, anxiety, reaction, and angst. My lawyer taught me to simply say back, that's not true. I learned to add, we need to get along for our child's sake. How do we do that? You can learn more in my blog of 25 key phrases that can neutralize the narcissist. Know the narcissist. If the narcissist can't get attention, even negative attention, and he needs to feel significant, then he will go elsewhere to kick up his drama. What do I tell moms to do with all the narcissist nastiness? Document it in an ordered, dated, numbered list. Learn to label the tactic. Check out my book that has all of the tactics labeled, the fourth book, and learn to label the tactics so you can take a step back and identify what's going on interpersonally. You can't imagine how useful this documentation can be to professionals later at the right appointed time in exposing the narcissist pattern of behavior. I teach moms how to record without feeling the negative, condescending, derogatory comment of the narcissist, and to keep track of his awful hate speech, because many custody agreements can or do contain a no disparaging marks or defamatory marks clause. His hateful, bitter, angry, resentful mouth can be used against him later when the time is right. If you've got like 50 false accusations, it tends to show that you can't be all those crazy things, and it points the finger back at him. I tell moms to store this information away for later use for their lawyer. Getting 10 to 20 nasty remarks gives you a pattern of behavior a court and court professionals need. This way, the narcissist exposes himself. If you're able to unemotionally say to your lawyer or judge, I have a documentation of 20 hostile remarks directed at me from over the past 6 months, Your Honor, you have grounds for requesting remedies of the court, asking for protection or consequences issued by the courts. The first key is to recognize and label the issue using awareness. The second key is to summarize. Lastly, the fourth key is to let the issue go until the time comes that this information is useful for you in your case or in thwarting the narcissist's attempt at sole custody, or however you may need to use it against him later. Keep in mind, when gray walling, not responding to the narcissist, not reacting to the narcissist, and not being part of the high conflict helps a judge and other court professionals see who the problem parent is. Many times us moms get lumped into the high conflict but we want to remain above that and be seen as a more reasonable parent. I teach moms to keep a cool head and always ask themselves, what do the family courts and a judge want to see me doing as a parent? Why try the gray walling method? What's the difference? I chose the term gray walling because the popular and widely accepted gray rock method for dealing with narcissists doesn't always work. Sometimes being a cold, immovable, insignificant looking rock didn't bore the narcissistic sociopath the way I hoped. Being boring definitely helped, though, but it wasn't enough for the narcissist that I was dealing with. I noticed a striking pattern, though, that those moms who got a new boyfriend or got remarried definitely triggered the narcissist and sometimes suddenly became interesting to the narcissist again. It even goes to the extent that out of nowhere, the new man is accused of horrible actions or behaviors, causing the narcissist to abruptly file for sole custody of his children after being out of the picture for years and seemingly not interested with the kids. In my case, sometimes my ex narcissist would escalate bad behavior to try to get past the boring parts of being an adult. This is a warning and use caution. Be careful on this front of developing another relationship. Your children are number one, they must be number one, and I encourage you to prioritize and ensure you keep it that way until they're no longer children, if this applies to you. Why gray rock method? Why gray walling method? Because the gray rock is not as shiny as gold. The choice of color definitely sets the tone of what we're going for. Gray is a color of neither black nor white, but middle. When we talk about the gray area, we talk about neither side being a strong stance. And if you haven't discovered by now, selecting a strong stance or a firm opinion on something will typically generate the narcissist's opposition. So, unless you're a lawyer or DV counselor has a certain strategy for you, you will definitely want to be as neutral as possible when dealing with the narcissist. Gray can also be considered boring and ineffectual. When the creator of this idea came up with the rock, I bet they imagined it to be a great visual of something hard, cold, and often immovable. When you put those qualities together, the narcissist usually can't get any thrill off of boring, bland, and something basic. However, I needed boundaries with the narcissist and needed to stop being a doormat. I had to mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically just get up off the floor. It wasn't enough to just lie in a pile of narcissist rubble being a gray rock. I needed firewalls, stopgaps, shields, and protections. I needed a full gray wall to surround me on all sides to block out the narcissist from creating more havoc in my mind and messing with my parenting. This is how I developed my gray walling method. That works for me to this day with over a decade of implementation and practice. Imagine your peace and protection. Visualize. Visualizing is a powerful tool, and studies show that what we focus on grows. This is why I focused on fighting only for peace and child safety. This is why I focused on maintaining my sanity. A friend who knew what I was going through gave me a picture of a sword, and I kept it up on my wall as a reminder that I'm a warrior even when I was losing certain battles. The visual of a gray wall might help you. I envision a wall like a force field and a membrane around my psyche, home, and life. An all gray wraparound wall, like that of a castle or fort, provided me with some psychological protection while I figured out what weapons would work, namely lawyers when it comes to narcissists. When the narcissist would approach me, he was met with gray walls and was essentially walled out. All chatter and decisions, all intel, info, and details about me were kept safe inside the wall at all times. I didn't bargain, pour out emotion, try to convince, plead, nor did I reveal a strategy or show my cards to the narcissist. He didn't know what was on the other side of my gray walls. This is probably why castles were built in the first place. Are you able to establish this firm foundation and some principles for your behavior? My lawyer became a pivotal part of my gray walling method. My lawyer was an advocate and a representative of my rights and requests to court. So many moms don't have this part of their gray wall established. I wish they did. It's true. It's a true cornerstone and a vital pillar of support. With adequate representation, court summons and communication about custody and child support are filtered through a lawyer who understands all the paperwork and is ready to uphold your rights. My lawyer provided me with psychological protection and so much stress protection for me and my child. I know that with a competent lawyer, our rights are going to be upheld, and I was much less able to be manipulated by the narcissist with a lawyer on my side who is not a victim of that narcissist abuse. A good lawyer will stay focused on your list of 20 wants. Find that on my blog. That list of 20 wants is how you can lead your lawyer in a non-emotional, detached, neutral manner and focus on child safety. Use my Get the Right Lawyer guide to interview several attorneys. My guide has a 20-question interview worksheet so that you can maximize legal consultations and get your burning legal questions answered. Getting partners in your new gray walling strategy. My DV counselor was a part of my gray walling method. She would meet with me weekly to discuss my fears and frustrations so that none of my emotions ended up on the narcissist's plate for him to feed off of. When I realized the narcissist enjoyed my emotional reactions, getting thrills and highs off of upsetting me, I decided to starve the beast. My safe professional experience, confidential, understanding DV counselor got my tears and witnessed my normal human emotional episodes. The narcissist never knew his impact on me psychologically, and this was a layer of my curtain. Even more so, I used the co-parenting app, which aided with keeping a distance from him and establishing that communication is not about what I do for work, where I live, or anything about me. It established guidelines to keep communication about our child and provided evidence for the court that my ex was heavily focused on destroying me rather than being a great dad or figuring out our child's activities. The app gave me some detachment. It was like lifting up the drawbridge and blocking out the narcissist whenever I wanted or needed. So let's recap some of the steps that I use in my gray walling method. 1, establish a psychological barrier by having a team of support who are confidential, professional, and experienced to vent to and who know the backstory and details of your case. 2, wall out court drama and stress by having a competent lawyer and getting guidance from your lawyer on complex issues. Don't just ask all the moms on social media. Your lawyer has the main strategy. 3, be nice and stay detached and distanced from the narcissist. 4, develop a turtle-like skin. Grow a tougher exterior. 5, establish marble support columns to hold you up emotionally, legally, and mentally. Make some self-rules and principles to live by. 6, have a pleasant, politically correct statement or two issued by your office, so to speak, that addresses the narcissist formally and is businesslike. Have those at the ready. 7, always follow the court order and stay within its restrictions unless your lawyer says otherwise, who knows something we don't. 8, don't include friends and family in the drama since they get sucked in emotionally and tend to want to battle for you, which creates more conflict. Keep your family safe inside your walls and have your roundtable discussions with your carefully chosen lawyer and team of professionals who understands narcissists. This isn't a normal situation. People will give you well-meaning advice that you cannot take with a narcissist. Be mindful of that. 9, be a sovereign central command post and realize this problem can't be solved quickly with an exterminator. So seal up any cracks or leaks of information and emotional outpouring that you might be doing. Know that you need to be in charge of all decision making on your case. Don't take bad advice from well-meaning others. And 10, don't rely on what's outside your walls for provisions. Learn to cultivate all you need to sustain yourself within your firm walls. Become a gardener and sow seeds of contentment. Stop seeking supplies, money, and resources from the narcissist. And bonus 11, while you're within your castle walls for this period of time of raising a young child, practice simple abundance principles and live within your means or well below your means in case of emergencies. It's your life, your boundaries. When you are doing what I call the gray walling method, you are creating a boundary around your mind, heart, and life, a layer of psychological protection. You are keeping your stuff, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and opinions strictly for you and only allowing a small, limited, specific messages to come in. Your people that you have stationed at the gates, the lawyers, the co-parenting coordinators, the app, may greet you in your throne room and tell you what's important to know, but they don't bother you with all the poop they had to clean up out from the ruckus out in the entryway by someone who didn't have permission to enter your gates. You get the gist, right? Here's some tips to keep you sane when dealing with a personality disordered narcissist using the gray walling method. 1, get a top family law lawyer or at least a lawyer to consult with on issues. 2, get a DV counselor, narcissist abuse recovery coach, strategist, or therapist installed that here's all the details front to back of your case. 3, get into a program of recovery to keep you sane, like CODA, Codependence Anonymous, a 12-step program that's free and online and virtual and phone meetings, or Al-Anon or ACOA, any of those 12-step programs about recovering and healing. 4, practice being polite, nice, cordial, and business-like when communicating with a narcissist. You can read my 3 blogs on communicating with a narcissist. And 5, develop a plan of documenting his hostility, nonsense, noncompliance, rather than reacting to each injustice or insult. Ways to effectively gray wall. You may want to contemplate these ideas and share them with your team to see if they're the right fit for your situation. 1, have a predetermined general response already saved in your phone's notes or email, ready to send when you need time to think. And if your order says you need to respond within 24 hours, I help moms draft these all the time so they have a shield to dampen and de-escalate the drama and give themselves some breather space. 2, have a separate life outside of the narcissist view that's private and confidential. Don't divulge your life, good or bad, to the narcissist. This is one of those self-rules you must create, and it's a boundary to stick to with yourself. 3, learn to speak in we statements, which are ways that are neutral, non-threatening, non-blaming, or shaming, and you can read my blog on how to adopt this perspective and take this speech. Number 4, don't bother the narcissist or try to get his attention with things that come up that don't involve him unless it's court-ordered things like medical activities and such directly for the child. If you don't know, if you need to consult him and notify him about something, this is where you call your lawyer and the legal advice comes in handy. Be smart. Be selective. A lawyer, specifically your lawyer who knows the ins and outs of your case and knows your legal strategy, should be one of your top advisors, not social media. Got strategy? Basically, when dealing with a narcissist in a custody battle, you will need multiple strategies to go through this tough situation. This gray walling method is just one strategy to keep the crazy narcissist out of places he doesn't belong, like your mind. You will need legal strategies if you are in family court battle, not just dealing with co-parenting issues. So you can read my blog, Legal Strategies I Used in a Family Court Custody Battle, which gives you 20 of the strategies I had to use. Remember, you will need a documentation strategy, a support strategy, a legal strategy, a defense strategy, an offense strategy, a parenting strategy, a communication strategy, a healing strategy, and so many more strategies. You can read my blog, The 3-Part Strategy for Dealing with Narcissists as Co-Parents. You may want to consider using gray walling method and adding it in slowly and systematically. Be mindful of the repercussions, though, and the need to fortify yourself. I have learned that when I made things abrupt and did things in a hard manner, the narcissist felt rejection, which is something they face in life often, and he would be triggered. The no trespassing order certainly insulted his fragile ego. From this terrible state of uncontrolled emotional pain, I would suffer what I call boundary backlash. So make sure your support team is there to pick up the phone when setting strong boundaries. I write about this in my first book, about loving and leaving an alcoholic narcissist and breaking free of codependency, about boundary backlash. If you have the power to place the wall, just know that. When I learned the steps that would stop the narcissist from being able to attack me, I wrote about it in my blog, The 5 Factors That Made the Narcissist Stop. And I experienced such relief to be able to think about other things rather than thinking about the narcissist. I share these secrets with you, but I realize it'll take time to digest these ideas. You will need to deeply reflect on your case. You will need to remember your reasons. You will need to remind yourself of your goals. You will need to stick to your guiding principles. Only you can make the decisions for your case, but please be well informed, be educated, and be represented. There are some more blogs worth reading that I have besides my 4 books. Here's 1, 2, and 3. And when in doubt, I say always get your advice from someone who knows the family court system. And if you want to learn from more videos, there's 11 video Navigate the Narcissist video co-parenting course that you can take to reflect on your case. Each case is different. Legal representation is empowering. Getting an attorney can and often does deter the narcissist. It puts a block and a boundary in place. It's sort of like the messenger person and the advisor person to that queen inside the castle. Kings and queens had advisors for everything. So it's worth reading some of my other blogs. My 20 wants a list, a powerful tool to use with the lawyer, or how to prepare for family court when dealing with a narcissist. All of my new blogs are not in my newest books yet, but this is my newest book, and this is number 4, and has a lot of the blogs that came after my first 3 books. So narcissists might want to falsely accuse you. Yeah, that's what they do. I have what to put in agreement or custody order when dealing with a narcissist. It's a very, very helpful list that you can bring to the lawyer and circle and say, put this in, put this in. I talk about the tactic of having a lot, but please think about what you need to create this gray walling method, to create this castle and curtain, and if you need to get the right lawyer. I just want to give a disclaimer that these are helpful tips based solely on my thoughts and opinions. I'm not a qualified mental health professional, not a crisis caseworker. I can't give legal advice or appropriate counsel. I'm not liable for any injury or harm in your case. Please follow your doctors, therapists, lawyers, counselors' advice, as well as your own good common sense and intuition based on your unique case to see if these tips could be helpful. Child custody cases and situations vary, where some of these may not be applicable at all to your circumstance. Furthermore, the court orders may dictate otherwise. This is for personal self-help only, and these were created from my own lived-in experience and not based on any laws or rules of the courts. It's copyright protected. It's in a blog or video format, not to be sold or distributed without getting credit to me as an author. So I encourage you to maybe pick up this new book if you want some of those helpful guides that I talk about. This is what to put in a court order. It's a blog. You have to pay, I think, a small fee for that full comprehensive list. I have 10 factors to consider if and when switching lawyers blog. And I have the Get the Right Lawyer guide in a blog or in my 4th book. So please get the help that you need creating this gray walling method. My Navigate the Narcissist co-parenting video course really does help you navigate around to de-escalate and disarm the narcissist. So you can pick that up also from my website. So thank you for listening and watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe. I'll have more free videos for moms, and we'll see you in the next video. I do one-on-one sessions, very limited one-to-one sessions. So you can reach me on my website, www.gracewroldson.com. Thank you so much for watching.